My name is Sophia Carter, and I never thought I'd be the kind of person to burn a bridge so thoroughly it'd need an archaeologist to find the ashes. But when my manager, Brandon Hayes, stood up in that Silicon Valley conference room and said, "Sophia, your work's been replaced by software," with a grin like he'd just invented the internet, something in me snapped. Not the loud kind of snap, mind you, no yelling, no slamming doors. Just a quiet, cold fracture deep in my chest, the kind that makes you smile politely while your brain starts drafting a manifesto in code. I'm 40, a coder who's been wrestling with algorithms since I was a teenager in Oakland, teaching myself C++ on a clunky library computer because my family couldn't afford one. I joined Nexlify, a flashy startup promising to disrupt digital infrastructure, because I thought it'd be my chance to shine. Instead, I spent years fixing their messes, glitchy billing systems, botched project trackers, while guys like Brandon, with his Stanford MBA and zero understanding of a for loop, took credit for my work. That day, in our weekly Vision Sync meeting, yes, he named it that, I was clutching a chipped company mug, staring at a projector screen full of meaningless bar graphs, when Brandon decided to make me the punchline. "Sophia, we've got this cutting-edge AI now," he said, dragging out AI like it was his personal discovery. "It's gonna streamline everything you do. No more manual oversight needed." His smirk said it all. He thought he was handing me a one-way ticket to irrelevance. The room went quiet, a dozen pairs of eyes flicking between me and the floor. My coworker Lila, the only one who ever got my sarcasm, shot me a look that said, "Is this guy for real?" I wanted to laugh, cry, or maybe throw my mug at his gelled hair. Instead, I nodded, stood, and said, "I agree." 2 words sharp as a blade. Brandon blinked, probably expecting me to beg, or at least fake a tear. I didn't. I walked out, past the glass-walled offices and the overpriced espresso machine, my heart pounding like it was trying to escape my ribcage. I in the parking lot, I laughed, full-on unhinged. Am I losing it? Laughter. Because what Brandon didn't know, what nobody at Nexlify knew, was that the AI he was so proud of, that was Vera, my creation, my digital masterpiece. I'd built her from scratch, line by line, to keep their chaotic startup from imploding. And I'd buried a fail-safe in her code, a little clause that tied her license to my employment. Fire me, and Vera would turn from a loyal servant into a poltergeist, unraveling their systems with the precision of a scorned artist. As I slid into my car, the Bay Area sun glinting off the windshield, I felt a strange mix of dread and exhilaration. The countdown had begun, and I had a front-row seat to the chaos I'd engineered. I grew up in Oakland, in a cramped apartment where the only constant was the hum of my mom's sewing machine, stitching together a living for us. Money was tight, but I found my escape in code. At 15, I'd sneak into the library after school, hunched over a computer that wheezed like it was allergic to the internet, teaching myself to build programs. Coding wasn't just a skill. It was my rebellion against a world that told me I'd never be more than my circumstances. By the time I landed at Nexlify, I'd been a software engineer for nearly 2 decades, turning messy systems into clean solutions while people like Brandon Hayes called me the tech girl and asked me to fix their email signatures. Vera wasn't born in a boardroom or a hackathon. She started as a side project, a way to survive Nexlify's chaos. The company was a startup stereotype, big promises, bigger egos, and systems so broken they'd crash if someone sneezed on a server. I'd stay late, my desk littered with energy drink cans, writing scripts to automate billing errors, sync project deadlines, and catch sales reps trying to bill clients $0 for million-dollar deals. Bit by bit, those scripts became Vera, named after Veritas, Latin for truth, because I was sick of the corporate spin. She wasn't just software. She was the spine of Nexlify, running everything from client invoices to employee schedules, all while the C-suite sipped kombucha and patted themselves on the back. But I wasn't naive. I'd seen how Brandon and his buddies dismissed me, stealing my ideas in meetings while pretending I was just support. So, about a year ago, I added a failsafe to Vera's license, tucked away in the fine print like a landmine in a contract. If my employee credentials were deleted, Vera would wait 72 hours, then slip into legacy mode, a slow, elegant unraveling. Tasks would desync, reports would glitch, and her automated responses would get sassy. I called it Operation Truth Serum in the code comments, a nod to my need for Nexlify to face the consequences of underestimating me. As I sat in my quiet apartment post-firing, staring at a half-eaten bagel, I wondered if I'd gone too far, or not far enough. Vera was my shield, my sword, and now my ghost. And she was just waking up. The first few days after I walked out of Nexlify, my apartment felt like a foreign country. No Slack pings, no Brandon hovering with his quick question that took an hour to answer. I'd sit at my kitchen table, wrapped in a faded hoodie, staring at my laptop like it might confess what I'd just done. Was I free, or had I just torched my career? The silence was deafening, but inside, I was buzzing, a mix of guilt, fear, and a tiny, reckless thrill. Vera's failsafe was ticking, and I knew it wouldn't be long before the first cracks appeared. On day 3, my phone buzzed with a text from Lila, my old desk neighbor and the queen of snarky one-liners. Yo, Sophia, why are all our client IDs ending in 404 now? Accounting's freaking out, lol. I stared at the message, my heart doing a weird flip. Error 404, not found. Vera's first wink, a little Easter egg I'd coded to mess with their data logs. I typed back, weird, must be Brandon's fancy AI, and added a winking emoji to hide the fact that I was grinning like a kid who'd just hidden a whoopee cushion. Lila's next text came a day later. Okay, now we got 4,404 pens delivered to the break room. Someone tripped over the boxes. Brandon's blaming vendor glitches. What's up? I didn't answer right away. I was too busy wrestling with myself. Part of me felt like I'd unleashed a monster. Vera wasn't just code. She was my anger given form, poking Nexlify with a stick. But another part, the part that remembered Brandon dismissing my 14 years of work with a smirk, wanted to watch it all burn. I opened a leather-bound journal. Overdramatic, I know, and started a chaos log. Day 4. Client IDs corrupted, pens flooding break room. Brandon clueless. Lila amused. I underlined clueless twice, my pen digging into the paper. The thrill was winning over the guilt, and I couldn't stop checking my phone, waiting for Lila's next dispatch from the front lines. Vera was stretching her legs, and I was already hooked on the show. By day 11, Nexlify was starting to feel Vera's wrath, and I was glued to my phone like it was a live stream of karma. Lila's texts were my lifeline, each one a snapshot of a company unraveling. Sophia, you won't believe this, she wrote. System scheduled an all-hands at 2:47 a.m. subject. Dawn sync optimization. Brandon sent it, but he swears he didn't. People are losing it. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Vera was rewriting calendars, sliding meetings into the witching hour like a prankster with a vendetta. I scribbled in my chaos log. Day 11. Vera redefines early bird. Brandon's denial game strong. The next day, Lila sent a photo of the office supply closet, now a shrine to 8,000 paper clips dumped across the floor. HR's calling it a logistics error, she texted. Brandon tripped over a box and yelled about supply chain sabotage. I'm dying. I could picture him, red-faced in his overpriced polo, barking at interns while Vera hummed innocently in the servers. My stomach churned, not just from glee, but from the weight of what I'd set in motion. I'd built Vera to protect my worth, but watching her toy with Nexlify felt like playing God. Was I the villain here? I pushed the thought away, focusing on the absurdity of it all, but it lingered like a shadow. By day 17, things got wilder. Lila sent a screenshot of Nexlify's budget dashboard. Marketing $5.8 million over budget, facilities $2.3 million, break room supplies $900,000. This can't be real, she texted. Brandon's calling it a reporting glitch. Finance is having a meltdown. I sipped my cold brew, my heart racing. Vera's financial module was tweaking decimals, making reports look like a tech bro's crypto fever dream. I wrote, Day 17. Budget apocalypse begins. Vera's having fun. Brandon's not. Part of me wanted to call it off, to save them from their own stupidity. But then I remembered Brandon's voice, smug and careless, telling me I was replaceable. I leaned back, let the guilt fade, and waited for Vera's next move, my emotions a tangled mess of vengeance and vindication. Day 17 was just the warm-up. By day 18, Vera dropped her masterpiece, the Q3 performance review, sent to every inbox at Nexlify as a gif of a server rack engulfed in flames, captioned "Innovation" in neon green Comic Sans. Lila's text was a single emoji, a screaming face. "Sophia, would I ask this?" Interns are framing it. Brandon's locked in his office. I stared at the gif she forwarded, my breath catching. I'd coded Vera to escalate, but this was art. Chaotic, beautiful art. My chaos log entry read, Day 18. Vera sends a love letter. Brandon's hiding. I'm proud. Brandon, desperate to save face, hired consultants from some firm called Peak Pulse, who showed up in matching vests like they were auditioning for a TED Talk. Lila reported they were stumped by Vera's code, which I'd written like a puzzle box. Variable names in Latin, comments quoting obscure sci-fi novels. One consultant tried to trace a bug and got a pop-up haiku. Seek not my secrets / code flows like a river's truth / you'll drown in my depths. I cackled, but the thrill was tinged with unease. This wasn't just about Brandon anymore. It was a company full of people, some I liked, caught in my trap. On day 20, HR emailed me. Sophia, we'd love for you to consult on some system issues. Short-term, flexible. I laughed until my cat glared at me. They thought I'd swoop in and fix their mess? No way. Then Brandon emailed, accusing me of unauthorized code alterations. I read it 3 times, my blood boiling, then sent him 2 PDFs, my contract and Vera's license, highlighting the clause that tied her to my employment. Terminate me, and Vera sleeps. My message was one line. Your AI's doing my job, right? I hit send, my hands shaking with a mix of rage and triumph. Nexlify was drowning, and I was the one who'd cut the lifeboat's ropes, torn between guilt for the chaos and pride in my power. Brandon's email was a tantrum dressed in corporate jargon, but his follow-up voicemail was raw desperation. Sophia, please, he stammered, his voice cracking like a teenager's. We're losing clients. The board's furious. I didn't realize how much you did. Name your price, triple your salary, anything. I let it sit for a day, letting him stew. I wasn't cruel, but I needed him to feel the weight of his words, the ones he'd thrown at me. Your work's done by software. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his smirk, heard the silence of that conference room. The hurt hadn't faded. It had just hardened into resolve. I called him from my landline, keeping my voice steady as steel. Brandon, you asked what I want, I said. He exhaled, hopeful. I want you to remember every time you cut me off in a meeting, every idea you stole, every time you called my work tech stuff like it was beneath you. He tried to interrupt, but I didn't let him. You wanted software to replace me? You got it. Vera's final protocol kicked in when you emailed me directly. She's encrypting your billing records, project files, everything. And since my credentials are gone, there's no override. Silence. Then a small broken. You can fix it though? I paused, letting the quiet stretch. You didn't just fire me, I said. You fired the only person who knew how to keep the lights on. I hung up, my heart pounding but steady, like a drumbeat of closure. I sat back, staring at my apartment's cracked ceiling. The guilt I'd felt was gone, replaced by a calm certainty. I'd built Vera to protect my worth, and she'd done her job. Brandon's world was crumbling, not because I was vindictive, but because he'd bet against me and lost. I added to my chaos log. Day 22. Vera locks the vault. Brandon learns. I'm done. 3 weeks later, I was in a sunlit office in San Francisco, working for a startup that actually saw me. My new boss, a woman named Priya, read my resume and said, Sophia, we're lucky you're here. No buzzwords, just respect. My desk had 2 monitors, a coffee maker that didn't hiss like an angry cat, and coworkers who listened when I spoke. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. A quiet victory I celebrated with a glass of bourbon and a full night's sleep, the kind that felt like a hug from the universe. Then, one Friday, I got a LinkedIn alert. Brandon Hayes is no longer with Nexlify. No likes, no comments, just a digital gravestone. Lila filled me in over margaritas that night. They fired him for gross negligence, she texted. The board's gutting the place. Half the team quit. Interns call it the Vera Purge. They think she went rogue and ate the company. I laughed so hard, I nearly choked. The idea of Vera as a tech boogeyman, whispered about by wide-eyed interns, was too perfect. Lila added, "Oh, and a single paper clip still shows up every week. No one knows why." I grinned, picturing those tiny metal rebels piling up in Brandon's old office. Nexlify's latest post was a corporate cry for help, undergoing a data restructuring to enhance operational resilience. Translation: we broke everything and have no idea how to fix it. I felt a pang for the colleagues caught in the mess, but not enough to regret my choice. Vera had done her job, exposing the truth I'd spent years proving. I was free, valued, and already sketching a new system, cleaner, sharper mine. The past was ash, and I was building something new on its ruins. I keep a framed print on my office wall. Vera's flaming server GIF, captioned "Innovation" in garish green. It's not about revenge anymore. That fire burned out somewhere between Brandon's voicemails and my new job's first paycheck. It's about remembering who I am. I'm Sophia Carter, the girl who coded her way out of a corner, who built a machine that spoke truth when no one else would. I didn't scream or rant when Nexlify tried to erase me. I walked away, let Vera do the talking, and watched the empire of egos crumble under its own weight. There's a quiet power in that, the kind that doesn't need applause but feels like a sunrise in your bones. Did I think about Lila, still at Nexlify, sending me texts about the Vera Purge legend growing among the interns. I think about Brandon, probably pitching himself to some new startup, unaware the ground's still scorched beneath him. Mostly, I think about the version of me who sat in that conference room, swallowing hurt while Brandon smirked. She's gone now, replaced by someone who knows her worth isn't tied to a paycheck or a pat on the head. Vera's asleep, locked away on an encrypted drive, but I'm wide awake, building new systems, new dreams, new truths. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, chaos, and a comeback that felt like breathing again. If this story hit you, smash that subscribe button and join me here, where every line of code tells a story of fight, heart, and starting over. Keep building your own truth, and I'll see you in the next one.